So Patrick Johnson, here we are after several months of, we did the sort of the pretend Skype videos for a while, kicking the
Yeah.
same issue down the road for a couple months. But now we actually have some real news to talk about. Back at Rogers Arena, I understand it's a surreal experience, but you're in your car outside because of the concrete bunker nature of it. But
Yeah.
what is it like to be back inside and actually have the guys on the ice?
It was funny. Travis Green said it himself that the guys on the ice feel normal. That's the one time they get to feel normal is when they are out skating around, doing what they do. And everything else is weird. The video, obviously the media interactions are over video. It was interesting. I think you just see Travis himself. Travis is so used to the interplay with us, and sort of, there's a lot of body language and all this, and whereas he's just a guy sitting in a chair, and he hears our name get announced, and there's sometimes a grin depending on certain people, whatever. I don't think there's any kind of emotional voting from him in terms of how he feels about people. But yeah, it's different. I mean, Antoine Roussel was poking at the screen, kind of having a fun joke with it. But yeah, it is surreal. Obviously we're all sitting very far apart. Essentially two guys per row, and there's, half a dozen at least seats between us. And, two or three rows between each sort of seated person. And we're in the upper bowl. I mean, we're used to sitting obviously in the press box, but we're used to watching practice at ice level and having a little more of a connection with what's going on the ice. And it is all very different. But it's nice. I mean, at the end of the day, this is what I've been doing for almost 2 years now. And it was nice to get a taste of, what we would like to get back to, 100% someday.
Whether it's 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, and the people look back at the season, there's no way around it. It's going to be screwy, right? Whether you put any stock in an asterisk or just, some special conditions on the season. I've seen these sort of play-by-play reports from the upper level about how the team has looked on the ice. I know they had a scrimmage today.
Yeah.
Is this more about a training camp, or is this more about basically the most preparation you're ever going to have for a single playoff opponent? Like, are they just getting fitness back, getting timing back, or are they actually working on things that will go against the Wild?
Well, Travis Green was asked a little bit about that today, and that was a bit of a talking point for him. He was honest. He said, "Yeah, I mean, I have a list of things we need to accomplish over the next 3 weeks before they have an exhibition game, at the end of the month in Edmonton." But he said really he's only mapped out the next 2 or 3 days, and they'll sort of play it by as it comes. And so yeah, it's a bit of everything. I mean, initially it was most guys have been skating in the small groups. The team's been back here for the most part for 2 weeks, and those guys have been skating, but it was different. It's not fitness. Antoine Roussel himself pointed out that where he was living with his family, where his family is in Quebec, the ice had only just gotten back in, so he wasn't able to skate at all. I mean, obviously the Swedish guys we know were skating quite a bit. So I think the fitness levels, I think everyone knows, are a little bit below what they're used to, certainly going into a conventional training camp. So where there is a bit of an old school feel in that standpoint, and you look back how things were up until sort of maybe the mid 90s when guys really came in and like training camp was getting back in shape. Obviously no one's horrendously out of shape, and some players might be thankful for that because the bar is a bit lower for everyone. But yeah, it's a bit of that. It's a bit about just skating right now, and then I think we've seen them doing some of their usual drills, but I imagine we'll get back into sort of the technical stuff as things progress the next few days, certainly by next week.
So the obvious advantage for them now, having had this break, is that Jacob Markstrom is no longer injured.
Right.
But what are the keys for this team in terms of their preparation as they go forward to this, not playoff, but play-in series?
Well, it's just the fact that everyone's fit, basically. I mean, that's the easiest one. They've got as optimal a lineup as they want. I mean, that's it. I mean, Markstrom being healthy is huge. We I think saw a taste of that. Demko was fine, but Jacob Markstrom literally has actually stolen games for them this year. Chris Tanev being healthy, not having had to really miss any games with him. He never told us exactly what he did, but tweaked his knee. I assume an MCL sprain, something like that. In the last game they actually played way back March 10th against the New York Islanders. Brock Besser a little more healthy. Antoine Roussel again, a guy that noted how he obviously had been finding his form, but he said, yeah, it's just a little more time for my knee to heal. And whatever bumps and bruises and strains guys were carrying that we didn't know necessarily directly about when the season paused, all those guys are feeling good. So, every team obviously is just about as in this situation. There are a few exceptions, but the Canucks are feeling good. They're as healthy as they're going to be, and they have no excuses at this point.
Well, great stuff, Patrick. It's great to have you back at Rogers. It's great to have the team back on the ice, and we're going to continue these videos to let people know what you're finding out behind the scenes.
All right.